And if you don't have an anchor within yourself, then you're truly lost. Hi everyone, thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm a little sporadic, to be honest, in making videos just because of my other work commitments, but I'm wanting to make more videos where I'm discussing spiritual topics from the Eastern philosophy and also different topics in regards to psychology. So this is me just being able to kind of, I guess, connect to those of you who have subscribed so kindly. One thing that I suppose I wanted to talk about on this short video was, in one sense, some of my realizations from being a psychotherapist and how much those realizations have really confirmed to me what I have been on my own journey with in my own spiritual life, my own spiritual practice. And that is that in my own life growing up, I grew up in a very, very spiritual family, practicing Bhakti yoga, which has always been around me since I was young. My father had, along with some other people, had started up a temple before I was born. And I have my own spiritual master who also at that time before I was born was helping the community kind of develop, and they were really trying to have a focal point of a gathering place of worship in Bhakti yoga, and that was sort of how I grew up, really. Sort of just before I turned as a teenager, you know, there's a lot of politics that happened, and our role in the temple became less and less, purely because of politics, and that happens everywhere, even in spiritual communities, unfortunately. Something that I've been actually wanting to talk more about on this channel, how spiritual communities can go wrong. But going on from there, you know, when I was a teenager, I began to read a lot of philosophy books, and that was before I got into psychology. It was mainly Eastern philosophy of the Bhakti yoga tradition. I can put some links to books that I read when I was about 14, 15 years old in the description below, because they very much set off my spiritual journey, answered a lot of spiritual questions that I had. And it really nourished me at that time when I was 15 years old. You know, I was going through a very difficult time, very, very difficult time. I think it was sort of like the saying, there's the dark night of the soul, where sometimes you have certain periods in your life, you know, be that karmically or just circumstantially, or however you want to see it, really. Everything just seems to go wrong, or you just seem to lose everything, or you feel very, very alone even though you have everything in the world. It was more than teenage angst, you know, it was more of a sort of existential crisis, I think, that I was in. Sometimes people just don't feel happy, and nothing is really satisfying them. It's more of a question about who am I, and what's my place in the world, and what is the world anyway. And you know, these thoughts often get shut down in life, and I've had many clients that have these questions and have this kind of inner existential turmoil, and they get told by family members and friends to stop thinking about those thoughts. And that's not really helpful, because you know, we have certain desires and thoughts and interests for a reason. I always encourage those types of wonderings. Anyway, that's sort of what I was going through when I was 15, and I found these books by Srila Prabhupada, and I, you know, would read around, but those books just seemed to answer everything for me. My point is, I'll get to my point, which is that I found peace and satisfaction with something that was nothing to do with the external world. It was nothing to do with my job, my career, how much money I earned. It had nothing to do with the relationships that I had in my life, whether I was single or not, or whether I had a lot of friends or not, whether I was successful or not. There was something that I was able to develop that was a constant in my life, that stayed with me through all of my ups and downs and basically kind of kept me afloat. It kept me somewhat equipoised, that my down times, I didn't sink so deep with my spiritual practice and what I was developing in my heart and soul, was something that was keeping me alive when everything else around me was crumbling. I've been working as a psychotherapist for 10 years now, and that notion of finding peace within, that doesn't relate to anything in the material world, doesn't relate to anything externally, has always been confirmed through my practice with clients. Because I've seen many clients now over the 10 years and dealt with so many different types of issues. The one thing that is constant is that they want to find some level of peace within, despite what's going on around them. You know, as a therapist, I'm just there to assist them find that for themselves, whatever that is for themselves. And the different tools that I have at least helps them alleviate some of the issues, some of the pain. You know, I think psychologically resolving traumas and dealing with emotions and knowing how to function in healthy ways is very, very important. However, the thing that is always constant, that always sort of comes up with at least clients that I work with, perhaps mid to longer term, is this wanting and yearning to find something within, some anchor within, some stable point, some peaceful space inside that they are able just to rest, and that no matter what happens outside of them, they are able to be okay. And you know, all of these experiences with other people have really actually inspired my spiritual life, because it's like confirmation to me. Yes, we're all just trying to find ourselves ultimately, and we're not going to find it outside of ourselves. We're not going to find it in the amount of money that we've had, because I've had clients that have been extremely wealthy and I've had clients that have had no money, and the problem is the same. They are not happy with themselves. They're not happy with what they have or don't have. They've been through suffering. Everyone, no matter how rich, famous, poor, destitute, ultimately, the reality of life is always the same. That we suffer, we're not satisfied fully with material things, and we want to find peace. We want to find ourselves. It's a reminder for me always to stay on this internal journey and never sway away from it. And it's hard because there's so many distractions and so many callings, right? Everything is kind of, consumerism is always pulling us externally from ourselves, especially now with social media. But it's really important that we don't give up our spiritual path. We don't give up giving ourselves time, that internal us, the real us, that's really thirsty for peace and happiness, that we provide that part of us with something more and something beyond this world. Because when everything crumbles, because the world is temporary and one day it will crumble, even if it is at the time of death, it will fall apart at some point. And if you don't have an anchor within yourself, then you're truly lost. So it's really important to every day be practicing your spiritual practice, because when life falls apart, then you don't fall apart with it. These were just some thoughts that I had, and hopefully I'll be sharing more. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll see me in another video, and take care of yourself. Bye.